I'm JosieWose and do I have a very fairy adventure for you today. We're going to be reading the Disney movie collection story of Tinkerbell and the Legend of the Neverbeast. I love Tinkerbell because she gets up to so many adventures with her friends. So here we go. On a night like any other in Pixie Hollow, Iridessa, a light talent fairy, was gathering light beams. She suddenly noticed a mysterious green star, the fourth from the right in the sky. When it began to move, she realized it wasn't a star at all, but a comet. Ancient fairy lore, all but forgotten, revealed that the very same comet had come nearly 1,000 years before. The comet's light caught the attention of curious Tinkerbell. The light in the sky was unlike anything she'd ever seen. Scribble, a reading talent sparrowman, watched the comet through a telescope. He made notes on everything he saw, but still he wanted to know more. The green light continued on, spilling into every dark corner and cave, and, deep down in the earth, something began to stir. The next morning, Fawn, a fun-loving animal talent fairy, greeted Tinkerbell. Tink had made a huge wagon for her. "Just like you ordered," said Tink. "But what are you up to?" Fawn took Tink inside her home, and Tink was shocked by what she saw. "You have a hawk," gasped Tink. "Hawks eat fairies." "Adult hawks, yes," said Fawn, "but Hannah is technically a baby." Fawn had found the bird and fixed her wing. "We have to get Hannah out without causing widespread panic," she announced. Fawn and Tink put Hannah into the wagon and covered her with blueberries. They pulled the wagon through Pixie Hollow. "What's with the berries?" Rosetta, a garden talent fairy, asked. "Oh, we're just taking them to the forest," said Fawn. Rosetta offered to help move the berries by sprinkling pixie dust on them. The berries rose into the air and uncovered Hannah. "Hawk!" screamed a fairy. Startled, Hannah let out a loud screech. The adult hawks heard Hannah's screech and flew in to help her. They scared the forest animals and chased the fairies. Luckily, the scout fairies, the protectors of Pixie Hollow, arrived. They used ropes, spears, and their speed to confuse the hawks and chase them away. The scouts turned to Hannah and covered her with a net. "Let her go," demanded Fawn. Nynx, the leader of the scouts, scowled. "We'll handle this." "Is everyone all right?" asked Queen Clarion. It wasn't the first time that Fawn had helped a dangerous animal. The Queen smiled at her. "You've always let your heart be your guide, but I also need to listen with my head," said Fawn. "Next time, I promise I will." The following day, Fawn decided to be a model fairy and teach a group of bunnies to hop. In the middle of the class, she heard a loud, deep groan come from the forest. "I should probably check that out," Fawn said. She followed a trail of broken branches and found an odd strand of fur. Then Fawn realized she was standing in a gigantic paw print. Fawn followed the paw prints to a clearing. The rocks and plants there were twisted, as if by a huge force, and right in the middle was a dark cave. Fawn peered inside, her heart racing. "Come on," she told herself. "Listen to your head. Your heart gets you in trouble." But Fawn just had to know what was inside. Cautiously, Fawn made her way to the bottom of the deep, jagged cave. What she found surprised even her. A huge animal unlike anything she'd ever seen. "What are you?" she breathed. The beast stood up. Fawn tried to keep her cool as she faced the enormous creature. Without warning, the beast let out a furious, groundbreaking roar. Fawn decided to observe the animal from a distance. She watched him pick up rocks and stack them in a pile. Then she stuck them together with snodgrass, sap and spit. The beast was limping. Fawn could see a thorn stuck in his front paw. She had an idea. Using a rope, she hung a rock from a tree. When the beast stood on his hind legs to reach it, she flew over to him and yanked the thorn from his paw. The beast howled, but when he put his paw down, he understood what Fawn had done. With a grateful grunt, he went back to work. Fawn was more curious than ever. She wanted to know everything about this strange creature. Fawn rushed home to get her research tools, but Nynx was there waiting for her. "Did you hear that roar this morning?" Nynx asked. Fawn pretended she hadn't. "Listen, this thing might be a threat," said Nynx. "If you find out what made that roar, I need to know." "What will you do if you find out?" Fawn asked. "My job," said Nynx responded. Fawn returned to study the strange creature. He ignored her for most of the day, but at sunset the glowing pixie dust that trailed behind Fawn amazed the animal. When Fawn sat down to make a note in her journal, the beast nudged her. At last they'd found a way to connect. Fawn sprinkled pixie dust on a rock and placed it on his rock pile. The creature was pleased. Exhausted, Fawn made herself a bed of leaves and went to sleep. It was dawn when the big animal nudged Fawn awake. Behind the beast was a huge horn-shaped tower made from rocks. "Whoa," said Fawn. "Looks like somebody's a night owl." Fawn wondered what the tower was for. Suddenly the beast picked her up with his tail and plopped her on his head. Together they marched into the forest. "Where are we going?" asked Fawn. The creature grumbled. "Well, you don't have to be so gruff about it," Fawn said. Then it hit her. "That's what I'll call you, Gruff." Gruff stopped at a clearing in the summer forest and set Fawn down. He stomped the ground in a circle and then dug out a rock. The process had begun again. This time, Fawn turned it into a game. She used her pixie dust to lift a rock from the ground. Then Gruff knocked it into place on the pile with his tail. Next, Fawn lined up a row of rocks, but Gruff hit them too hard. They sailed over the cliff towards Sunflower Meadow. Fawn shouted a warning to the garden fairies who were working in the meadow. Scout fairies rushed to the scene. "Is everyone accounted for?" asked Nynx. "Yes, thanks to Fawn," answered a garden fairy. "If she hadn't shouted that warning, we'd be flatter than pumpkin seeds." "Fawn?" Nynx questioned. Meanwhile, Fawn looked over to the cliff and saw the scouts. "You have to get out of here," she told Gruff, but he was busy building. Fawn did loops in front of him, pixie dust falling all around. "Okay, new game. It's called Chase the Fairy." Finally, Gruff followed Fawn into the woods. Nynx and the scouts arrived at the top of the cliff. They examined the pile of rocks. Then, Nynx spotted a giant trail of paw prints. The scouts followed them into the woods. Up ahead, the trees began to shake, and they heard branches breaking. Whatever had made those prints was close. Gruff ran faster as he followed Fawn through the forest, but the scouts flew faster. They threw pouches of nightshade powder into the air in front of Gruff and burst them open with arrows. The nightshade drifted towards Gruff, but Fawn turned sharply and the beast followed, avoiding the sleeping powder. Nynx raced through the trees and stopped at the edge of a cliff. Whatever they had been chasing had disappeared. Fawn decided that she wanted Gruff to meet her friends so they could see he wasn't a monster. "As you all know," she began, "I really learned my lesson about being smarter when it comes to dangerous animals. However—" "Fawn, what's going on?" interrupted Tink. "Ladies, say hello to Gruff." The huge beast lowered himself from a tree branch. "What is that?" gulped Rosetta. "I don't actually know," admitted Fawn, "but I'm going to take him to the Queen and show her that he's harmless." Unfortunately, Nynx had reached the Queen first. She had discovered that the comet had come before, 972 years ago, and with it had come the Neverbeast. The Neverbeast had built 4 towers, one in each season of Pixie Hollow. Then, green storm clouds had formed and the monster had destroyed everything with lightning. Just then, Gruff peeked in through the window. Fawn quickly distracted the Queen. "How do we know this isn't just some crazy legend?" "We've already located a tower in the summer," said Nynx. "The legend is real." Outside the window, pixie dust tickled Gruff's nose. "Achoo!" Fawn pretended it was her that had sneezed. "Whoa, I should get that checked," she said. Queen Clarion looked outside. Luckily, she didn't see Gruff. The Queen turned back to Fawn and Nynx and asked them to listen with their hearts and their heads. "I trust you both to do what's right for Pixie Hollow." Fawn and her friends flew Gruff back to the forest. Then, when they landed, Fawn explained what had happened. Nynx found this harebrained legend about a creature called the Neverbeast who shoots lightning to destroy Pixie Hollow, she said. "Nynx thinks Gruff is a monster. Crazy, right?" Her friends backed away, looking scared. "Come on, guys," pleaded Fawn. "I know he's not what they say he is." "Even if you're right," said Tink, "it's not safe for him here." Fawn took Gruff back to the second tower. Once he had finished it, the two sat together gazing up at the stars. "Rest up, because first thing tomorrow we're going to find someplace great for you," Fawn said softly. "Just until things settle down." Fawn nestled into Gruff's soft fur and fell asleep. Gruff stayed awake, staring into the night sky. He watched the green clouds gather in the distance. The next morning, the fairies in Pixie Hollow awoke to a worrying sight. Thick, churning green clouds filled the sky. The scout fairies flew off towards the forest carrying a huge net. Tinkerbell gasped. She knew they were going after Gruff. Fawn had woken that morning to find that Gruff had gone. She asked Tink to help find him before the scouts did. They split up and Fawn saw that he had already built a tower in autumn, so she flew into winter. She saw the 4th and final tower. They spotted Tink on the ground. Gruff was looming over her. "Tink!" cried Fawn, cradling Tinkerbell. "Gruff, what did you do?" Gruff snarled and turned away. At that moment, lightning struck the tower. The air cracked with electricity. As Fawn watched, Gruff transformed. Horns grew out of his head and a hump formed on his back, just like the monster in the drawings. Tink's friends took her to the healing fairy and huddled around her bed, but Fawn sat by herself. Again she listened with her heart, not her head. Now her best friend was hurt. "Is she going to be okay?" Iridessa asked the healing fairy. The fairy nodded. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief. "See, Fawn," Rosetta said, turning to face her. "She's going to be—" But Fawn had already left. Fawn found Gruff sitting high on a ledge. "Come here," she called. "I need to see you." As soon as Gruff came out into the open, the scout fairies threw a net over him. The beast struggled and groaned as the net was pulled tighter. Fawn just watched, feeling guilty. Nightshade powder, called Nynx. 5 pouches exploded over Gruff, coating him. He fought to get free, then collapsed as the sleeping powder took effect. Mission accomplished, shouted Nynx. We captured the Neverbeast. Nynx turned to Fawn. You did the right thing. Fawn went to check on Tink. To her surprise, Tink was awake. I'm so sorry, said Fawn. There's nothing to be sorry for, Tink replied. Gruff is exactly who you said he was. Tink explained that lightning had split a tree right next to her. Gruff had pushed her out of the way just in time. He'd saved her life. And I betrayed him, cried Fawn. Then she ran for the door. Where are you going? asked Tink. To do the right thing, Fawn explained. Tinkerbell quickly fetched the other fairies. They followed Fawn through the growing storm and set Gruff free. Gruff's vision was blurry from the nightshade, so Fawn used the glow of her pixie dust to lead him to the first tower. There, lightning arched off the rocks onto Gruff. Waves of electricity surged across his body. The girls watched in awe as huge wings grew out of his back. Fawn now understood Gruff's purpose. He's not here to shoot lightning at Pixie Hollow, she said. He's here to draw it away. Gruff stomped on the ground. I understand, Fawn told him. We're going to the other towers. Follow my glow. Fawn led Gruff through the forest to the autumn tower. The rocks were brightly lit from a constant stream of lightning. Gruff charged at the tower and the lightning jumped onto his horns instead. Then the tower crumbled and the lightning cleared from the area. Fairies on the ground watched in amazement as Gruff flew overhead, led by Fawn. At the winter tower, lightning again leaped onto Gruff. One more to go, shouted Fawn. Fawn and Gruff had just reached the final tower when Nynx knocked it down. Gruff fell to the ground. The lightning had been focused on Gruff's horns, split into hundreds of smaller, high-voltage bolts. Lightning was everywhere in Pixie Hollow, hitting the ground and setting trees on fire. Nynx, cried Fawn, what are you doing? Saving Pixie Hollow, Nynx yelled. Suddenly, a bolt of lightning flashed towards Nynx, but Gruff blocked it and absorbed the strike. Don't you get it, Nynx? Screamed Fawn. He was saving Pixie Hollow. Gruff tried to rebuild the tower. It's too late, said Fawn. The swirling clouds pulsed with electricity. How can we catch it all? Suddenly, Fawn realized all of the lightning was coming from the eye of the storm. She and Gruff looked at each other. Both knew what had to be done. Follow me, said Fawn. Gruff followed Fawn's glow as they flew up to the center of the storm. As they got closer, Gruff pushed Fawn behind him. Lightning came from every direction, drawing to the beast's horns. Gruff gathered up all the storm's energy until the clouds were drained. Then, in one enormous blast, boom! Gruff shook off the energy, sending waves of heat and lightning far out over the sea. The storm was over. Fairies flew into the sky and used pixie dust to catch Fawn and Gruff as they fell to the ground. Gruff, with his scorched fur, was all right, but Fawn was motionless. The beast leaned over and nuzzled her cheek. As he did, one tiny last bit of electricity energy sparked onto Fawn. Moments later, her eyes fluttered open. Hey, there's my big furry monster, she said. Everyone cheered. Before long, Gruff and Fawn had both made full recoveries. Gruff was a hero. They finally see what I see, Fawn said to him. Gruff helped repair the damage from the storm, but he soon started to tire. Fawn listened to his heart and heard that it was slowing down. That meant it was time for him to go back into hibernation. How long are we talking about? Asked Rosetta. Fawn held back her tears. About 1,000 years. The girls understood what that meant. "We'll never see him again," said Tink. Fawn and the girls led Gruff back to his cave. Hundreds of fairies lined the route to wish him well. Gruff could hardly believe it. More surprises were waiting for Gruff inside. Tinkerbell had made him a special bed. Rosetta gave him a fluffy pillow. Silver Mist put in a spring-fed water bowl. Iridessa brought a night light, and Vidya added a gentle breeze. Nynx told Gruff she had a gift for him too. The enduring respect of a grateful scout, she said. "Hey, big guy," Fawn said sweetly. "I won't see you again, but I know you'll always be there when we need you." Gruff settled into his bed and smiled. Fawn kissed him on the nose. "I'm really going to miss you," she whispered. "I love you, Gruff." And with that, Gruff's eyes closed and he drifted off to sleep. Oh, what a beautiful story about friendship. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you like this video, don't forget to hit like and subscribe for more videos. I'm JosieWose. See you next time.